Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope my sound is good. Put that up a little bit. Yeah, I can hear myself now. So thanks a lot for joining me today, guys. I know there's a lot of people that's waiting in the room. We were supposed to start at 3:30. We had to push it back to 3:45 because I just wanted to get some new technology involved with the show. I think you guys will like it. It's definitely a treat to be able to use this screen capture technology I'm going to be using. I'm going to debut in the lines. Somebody said I sound great. Thank you. Great. Good. I'm so happy that the sound is fixed on the channel. So anyway, we have a very important topic to talk about today. And let me just throw one more thing up here. Perfect, right? So I was able to get my hands on the 800 some odd page investigative report that so many YouTubers had. Yes, Strategic is last on the list because guess what? I didn't have the money that these folks paid out to get this document, but a viewer of mine, and once again, these shows are done because of you guys, because you guys support me, you watch the channel, you like the channel, you engage in the comment section. Occasionally, people will help out financially, and of course, people who have access to these documents, have access to this type of evidence, sometimes they're generous and they share it. So thank you and big up to the user. I don't know if they would like for me to say their name, so I'm not going to say it, who reached out to me via email, heeded my plea, heeded my call for assistance, and sent me the 800-page document. Now, guess what? Many of you have watched many true crime channels break down those documents, but not many of those true crime channels, and once again, I have my Invisalign in my mouth, so sometimes it messes up my speech, so I apologize for that, but I want to get straight teeth, guys. Want to look good. But not many of them were able to look at it from an expert point of view. And I'm not a DNA analysis expert. That's not my job. But part of my job is I evaluate and I use these DNA reports in my cases. And guess what? The district attorney, the county attorney doesn't get this until I give it to him. After I interpret it and I say, yeah, there's some DNA here, you know, that this person was a victim of sexual abuse, or it appears that way, that's when the DA now gets it after me. So I think I have a lot of experience looking at these documents and understanding them. So I thought it would be important if we go through the DNA report that was done for Maddie Soto. And I explained to you exactly what that report says. And I have not seen a YouTube video that has broken down this report as we're going to break it down today. If somebody else has done it, I can't subscribe to every channel. I can't see everything on every topic. So I apologize. Big up to them for doing this first. But to my knowledge, nobody has broken it down the way we're going to break it down today. And I think it's very important that we break it down this way so you understand, not just for this case, but moving forward, how to read these documents. Because part of the true crime community, our job is to get this evidence, to do our own parallel investigation, aside from the investigation that's being done by Leos on the ground who are dealing with these cases. And sometimes in true crime communities find things that the detectives on the ground may have missed. And I got to tell you, as an investigator, I would never allow my ego to grow to the point where I would not be willing to accept information from any source that will help me solve a case. It's not about ego. It's not about your feelings. It's about justice. And so if I was contacted in my real life, in my day job, from the true crime community, and they said, hey, listen, you've got a big case and we've been following this case as well, and we've noticed something in the evidence that we don't know if you've seen, because once again, there's a lot of things that these investigators know and have seen and are privy to that we don't even know that they're privy to it because they're not going to share it with the public. But if I was contacted and I would say, well, what do you got? And if somebody's preaching to the choir and they're telling me something I already know, no problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate your interest in the case. I'll take what you have to say into consideration, even though I know I probably already know it already. But if I don't know it, I'm going to use that information to help solve the case. So that's what we're doing here. So I want you to understand these concepts. So before we get started into the actual breakdown of the final report. All right, this forensic report. I want to play two videos that's basically going to explain to you guys what two important terms are: STR testing and PSR. You have to know what that is. You have to be familiar with that, because those are important tests that dictate and aids in determining, number one, if you can even make DNA out of such a, get enough DNA sample to test. That's PSR, I believe. And if you can actually say that the DNA you found belongs to a specific person. Out of billions of people in the world, how can you get to the point that you say this DNA belongs to this person, even when that person may have a twin, even when that person may have brothers and sisters, etc.? How can we say this belongs to that person? So I want to play those two videos, because those two videos are going to break down the technique for you guys. Then after you've been educated, then we'll jump into the Madeline Soto DNA report. Now, the other day, yesterday, Guilty of Crime was talking about Nungari. That's how I say her name. Jocelyn Nungari, the beautiful little girl, 12-year-old girl from Texas who was killed and violated, physically violated, essayed, if YouTube will prefer those words, by two Venezuelan migrants close to the border in Houston. Or, well, Houston's not too close to the border, but close enough, right? And the discussion about autopsies and reports and DNA analysis reports and stuff came up. And some people don't believe that these things should be made public. I get it. I respect it. The only reason why I bring that up, big shout out to Guilty of Crime, by the way, love her channel, is I believe that this information should be available to the public. I understand it. I understand that the family could feel hurt that this stuff is out there, but we need to know as society so that we can prevent these things from happening again in the future. So I have to tell you, trigger warning on this channel, we will always discuss these things. Even though they may be painful, even though they may hurt certain people in the community, we will continue to discuss these things, because we need those facts in order to know what truly happened. And by understanding what happened, we can find a way, hopefully as a society, to make sure it doesn't happen again, or at least mitigate it, that it doesn't happen as much. And the only way you get things done is through knowledge, because knowledge is power. And sometimes the truth hurts. So if you are a part of that community where you feel like, I don't want to hear that, it's triggering, it's painful, I will not be upset with you if you choose not to watch shows like this when I talk about these things. You can still subscribe to the channel. There just may be some shows that may not be for you, and I get it, I understand it. Your mental health is the most important thing. But we're going to talk about these things. And so we will be talking about the DNA report for Madeline Soto. Because knowledge is power. We deserve to know what happened so we can protect that next little girl so that she does not end up dead like Madeline Soto. All right. So now let me cue this up real quick. I was rushing. I didn't even get to cue it up, but I'm going to cue it up now. And I apologize for that, because, I mean, I like to be ready and rocking and rolling, man. I'm not a big fan of slowing my show down. One thing for me, these shows have to be fluid. I feel like the shows should be presented to you like the news, where videos, everything is ready to just pop up on the screen and be presented to you. So when I'm not in that state of readiness, I'm very disappointed in myself as a presenter and a YouTuber. So I apologize that it's going to take me just a few nanoseconds to get this ready for you. All right. But guess what? We're ready now. All right. So let me go ahead and share this screen with you beautiful people. And so this one is going to be STR, short tandem repeat. Once again, you guys need to understand this before we go into the actual DNA report. And guys, do me a favor, I had like a few people get upset with me, 2 people to be exact, that I asked you guys to hit the like button. They're like, oh, dude, we already know we got to hit the like button. If we want to do it, we'll do it. If we won't, we won't. I get it. But when you do ask to hit the like button, there is usually a surge of people who hit the like button, which means that they forgot and they were happy that you reminded them. And also, this is how our show grows. When you're a YouTuber, you can take free classes given by YouTube to teach you how to grow your channel. And one of those classes clearly states you have to have engagement on your channel for your channel to grow. For YouTube to show your channel to other people, they want to see engagement. They want to see people in your chats talking. They want to see like buttons. They want to see that like button pressed. So I'm not trying to bug you or force you to like my show. I'm trying to get you to engage with the show. And what they also said is if you hit the thumbs down, it doesn't hurt the show. It's still engagement. It lets me know that maybe I'm doing something wrong. So that's constructive feedback. If you don't like what I'm doing, you hit the thumbs down. I'm going to have to reevaluate what I'm doing here. But the engagement, whether it's thumbs up or thumbs down, it helps the show grow. And that's why we always ask you, because so many people will pop in, they'll be mowing the lawn, they'll be cooking dinner, they don't have their phone or their computer in their face, they're just listening with headphones, and they forget, hey, you know what, before I put that phone down and cook this dinner or mow that lawn or fix that chair, I'm gonna hit that like button so I can help this channel that's obviously entertaining me. That's why I'm sticking around listening. So hit that like button. Thank you so much. Let me get this video in real quick and let's jump into this.
A short tandem repeat, or STR, is a region of DNA composed of a short sequence of nucleotides repeated many times. Since the number of repeated sequences in a given STR varies from person to person, pinpointing these variants can be useful in DNA fingerprinting. As the name implies, the repeated stretches in STRs are short, only 2 to 10 base pairs long. For this reason, and because they are dispersed more evenly throughout the genome than the longer variable number tandem repeats, or VNTRs, STRs are favored by forensic labs. Large databases of information on STRs in the general population tell analysts how much variation exists at any given STR location. That information can help forensic analysts determine the conclusiveness of a match between two.
So this is basically the way that we find out who's the father, right? Is this type of testing, this type of technique is what determines you are the father, 99.99999% chance you're the daddy. That's this type of testing, right? So if you hear STR, think about paternity, right? And then when you think about paternity, think about, okay, if I can match a child to a father or to a mother, usually paternity is done on a dad. We know what mother is, right? But sometimes it's done on a mother too in cases of kidnapping and stuff like that, or adoption, etc. But if we can match a child to a father, right? Can we match a person to DNA found on another person or in evidence in a crime scene? And this type of technique is what allows us to match people to evidence, to crime scenes, right? To other people that may have been victimized, especially in sex crimes cases and homicide cases, right? So if you're going to forget all that extra stuff, when you hear STR, think paternity. And when you think paternity, then you're going to remember all the other applications for STR.
Two samples. If 10% of people have the same number of repeats at a given STR, for example, finding a match at that site is merely suggestive that 2 samples are a match. If 2 sites with the same prevalence match, the odds drop to 1 in 100 that the similarity is coincidental. If 13 sites match, the odds that any 2 people would possess such a fingerprint are so small, about 1 in 10 trillion, that the result can be considered a definitive match.
All right, so that's what's up. Before we jump into the next video, I just got to read this comment that's in the comment section right now. It's very sad. This young woman named Simi72 said, I wonder if Maddie tried to tell her mom and her mom didn't believe her. I tried to tell my mom about my uncle and she didn't believe me until I got into my adulthood. And one thing I've noticed is this new generation of human beings, there's a lot going on with them that I don't agree with. But one thing that I've noticed is that they're much more open to believing victims. And I think that's a beautiful thing. People in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s like me and down. But what I've also noticed is there's an older generation, this older generation of people who raised the folks who are my age and younger, the people who are now in their 60s, their late 50s, their 60s, and their 70s. Above that, you know, who cares? These people are about to go, right? A large proportion of them, from my anecdotal experience, is not a scientific study, just from my experience professionally, didn't believe their children when their children said that they were being sexually abused by relatives. And to me, it's so disgusting. It really is. And so here's this person. I don't know if 72 is indicative of their age, or just some random number they picked out to put with their screen name. But the fact that this person, this female, told her mother that she was being victimized by the uncle, and the mother didn't believe her. It's like, sometimes I'm a very passionate person, and I know that your mother doesn't deserve this, and I don't know your mother. She might be a wonderful person, and this is her only thing she ever did wrong in her life. But a dread of hate washes over me when I hear that. Like, to hear that, I hate your mother for what she did to you. It brings me so much pain and sorrow because I see it in my everyday life, the pain that victims go through, especially when it's a family member who is perpetrating the crime against them, and they reach out to their loved ones, and those loved ones say, I don't believe you. It kills me. It kills me because you have one job, and that job is to protect your children. And you could live the most virtuous life, but you will always be tested once. God, if you don't believe in God, the universe, if you don't believe in the universe, circumstance, if you don't believe in the law of science, the law of probability, whatever you believe in, you got to believe in something, will put a moment of adversity before you to test who you are as a person. And sometimes if you fail on that test, your entire existence is for nothing because you will forever be judged by that moment. That's one of those moments. That is one of those moments. You could be the best mother, best father. You could clothe your kids, send them to the best schools, have them grow up in the best neighborhood, go to every soccer game. But if that child came to you and said, I'm being raped and I need your help, and you say, I don't believe you, stop lying, go suck it up and move on, you are a failure. And the only forgiveness you could get is not from me. It's from that child that you failed and who and whatever you believe in. That's how much of a sin that type of betrayal is. Nobody else can forgive you but the victim and Lord Almighty, or whatever you believe in. So when I hear you say that, it breaks my heart, Simi. It breaks my heart so much, I just forgot about my whole topic and started talking about you because you matter. You may not have mattered back then, Simi, but you matter to me. And you matter to the people like me who do what we do to try and bring you justice. Hopefully in your state, they've extended the statute of limitations if that creep is not dead in the ground right now. And you can go forward and you can get justice or at least closure for what happened to you as a child. You matter to me. Anyway, let's get back to the next video. So sorry to hear that. Really threw me off my game because that just breaks my heart to hear that. All right, so the next one is going to be where we did SCR. Now we're going to do PCR, right? PCR.
Thanks for stopping by. This is 2 Minute Classroom, and today we're talking about polymerase chain reaction, or PCR as it's more commonly known. First, let's talk about what PCR is and how it works, and then I'll give some examples of what PCR is used for. PCR is a technique used to amplify or copy small specific segments of DNA. For PCR to be successful, you need the DNA sample you want copied, DNA primers to identify the specific sequence of DNA you want to amplify, lots of raw nucleotides to form the DNA copies, and a heat-resistant DNA polymerase to make the new copies. This all goes into a special stable solution. Once all the ingredients are in, you run the solution through many temperature cycles until you reach the amount of DNA copies needed. There are 3 steps to this cycle. Step 1 is denaturation. The solution is heated, allowing complementary DNA strands to separate so that all the DNA in solution is single-stranded. Step 2 is annealing. The solution is cooled so that the DNA primers can bind to the specific region of DNA you are interested in. Step 3 is extension. The temperature is raised so that the DNA polymerase can bind and perform the necessary operation of...
All right, so I'm going to stop it here because this is a very technical example of this process. And I'm just going to explain it to you very simply. But I wanted you to hear it from the scientist before I give you the basic explanation. So the basic explanation is this technique allows you to take a small bit of DNA, right? The type you might swab up on a table, the type you might get from somebody's body or something like that when you do a SANE or a safe kit or a rape kit, whatever you want to call it. And it allows the scientists to replicate that DNA to the point where they can test it and then get some ID from it, like an STR, get an actual profile from it, right? So basically, this is a technique of expanding small bits of DNA, replicating it so that you can now test it and then get what's called a DNA profile. So that being said, right, now, let me get this off the screen, bring me back on. We can go ahead and we can jump into the actual DNA report on this beautiful little girl's case, okay? Maddie Soto. Let me get comfortable. Switch it over like this, and then bring this here. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Everything is good. Let's jump into this. So this is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. This is going to be the laboratory report. It's dated April 10th, 2024. Chief is Chief Betty Holland for the police department. This is addressed to her. Mark Morris, I guess, is the detective who's assigned to it. And they have the victim blocked out. At other parts in this document, they're also going to block out other... I thought I saw them block out Stern, but I'm not going to jump ahead of myself. Maybe I read it wrong. Let's keep going. So the offense is a death investigation. So this report references evidence submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement on March 13, 2024 by Jamie Jung. This report contains conclusions, opinions, and or interpretations made by the author. All right. And the reason why I said that is that at the end of the day, the scientist is actually interpreting the data. So that's why they have to be clear about that, right? So it's not peer reviewed. Well, most of them are reviewed on site by supervisors, but they're basically using their expertise to interpret the data that's coming out of the system. But we know that that data is accurate and the interpretation is accurate as well. So the first thing you're always going to see is you're definitely going to see on this side the list of the evidence here. Okay. So the list of the evidence is going to be in this column here. And it's going to be itemized, right? And then they'll have their specific agency numbers or whatever that they want to assign to it over there. So it's going to be items. So these are the different items that they tested. It's going to be missing numbers because there are items that they did not test everything for, right? They didn't test every single item, only the items that they sent in. So it appears they sent in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.1, 8.2, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12.1, 13, and 14. All right, so now let's just go down a list of what was sent over. So respectively, it's going to be buccal swab presented as being from Stephen Stern. That's what we call a control, right? That's a control. That's a known swab of that person. That person signed a waiver or a court order mandated that they gave that DNA sample. We know who it is. It gets sent. A profile is generated and we know who it is, right? The next one is going to be penile swab presents as being from Stephen Stearns. And they say presents because they're not literally taking that penile swab themselves. They're relying on the fact that it's being reported to them that this is an actual penile swab of Stephen Stearns. And once again, most likely he did not voluntarily give up that penal swab. Most likely that penal swab was obtained from a search warrant, of which I've had to do a few of those myself. We don't do it ourselves. A nurse does it. Probably a safe, sane nurse is usually the one that does it for a suspect kit. So you have a safe, sane kit for a victim, and there is also a kit for suspects as well. Let's keep going. DNA card represent as being from blank, and that DNA card, I believe, is Madeline Soto. It's basically Soto's profile that they're saying this is her DNA card, this is her DNA numbers or whatever that represent who she is, so you can match DNA against that one, right? So then we have the left fingernail clippings presented as being from Maddie, right fingernail clippings presented as being from Maddie, neck swabs presented as being from Maddie, left neck swab, right neck swab, and that's all going to be under 8. So that's 8.1, 8.2. So, they're all from Maddie. Right hand swab represents as being from Maddie. Left hand swabs represented as being from Maddie. Rectal swabs represented as being from Maddie. So we know that they did a safe, sane kit on her, because we have swabs that are only done when people are suspected of being a victim of sexual violence. Then we have hair. So that's vaginal swabs presented as being from Maddie. It says hair. So I would imagine that hair was found inside of her vagina, and a vagina does not produce hair, as we know. Well, there are times when some vaginas might produce hair, but that's usually with transgendered people, but that's a different story. But because you do have to deal with that as well when you're investigating sex crimes. Sometimes you'll have transgendered victims as well. So you have to know these things. But a normal functioning female vagina does not typically produce hair. So if you find hair in there, it could be the possibility that hair from the victim went in there, however, or a male was having intercourse with them, and there is hair on the outside of penis, this tiny, tiny hairs, or it could also be puberty hair that can get in there, and it could be an example of the fact that somebody had intercourse with this person and hair from that person went inside of their vagina. So that's actually very good evidence. It may not pan out. It may end up being the victim's hair, but there's a good possibility it could be the perpetrator's hair. Then breast swabs presented as being from Maddie Soto, and oral swabs presented as being from Maddie Soto. Those are all additional tests that are done, samples that are taken when you're doing a safe, sane kit, right? So let's go to the results. So item number 3 is a buccal swab and presents as being from Stephen Stearns. So item number 5, a DNA card presented as being from Madeline Soto. Complete DNA profiles were obtained from items 3 and 5. So they did DNA on both of these items, and they could confirm that Stephen Stearns is item number 3 and Madeline Soto is item number 5. And this is important to know because they're going to reference back to those items when they're trying to determine whose DNA belongs to who and what DNA is found present inside of different places on the different swabs that were taken from the victim. Item number 4, penal swab presents as being from Stephen Stearns. So I'm going to go ahead and put a star next to this one and this one and this one right here. All right. Stephen, item number 3 is expected to be a donor to item number 4. No DNA results foreign to Stephen Stearns were obtained from item number 4. So you understand what happened? I just explained it to you. Here we go again. So item number 3, we know that to be Stephen Stearns, right? They're saying that these two, item number 3 is expected to be a donor to item number 4. So they expect that the same DNA in 3 is going to be the same DNA for 4 because number 4 is Stephen Stearns. That's his penis, right? But that's not always true because for all they know, Stephen Stearns could have had intercourse with Maddie or anybody else and not taken a shower and thoroughly washed his member, and you could conceivably find other DNA on his penis. You could conceivably find that, but let's keep going. Item number 6, left fingernail clippings represented as being from Madeline Soto. Using a color change test, Item 6 failed to give chemical indications for the presence of blood. So what they did was they used a special chemical that reflects a certain wavelength of light if it's blood present. So they did that test on there and they could not find blood. And then it said Madeline Soto, item number 5. So we go back. Remember, item number 5 is Madeline Soto. Madeline Soto, item number 5, is expected to be a donor to 6. And no DNA results foreign to Madeline Soto were obtained from item number 6, right? So they did not find any DNA from anybody else under her left fingernail clippings presented from Madeline Soto. Let's go to number 7. Right fingernail clippings. Let's see if they found anything there. So they did another color change test on that because remember, that's her fingernails. People scratch. There would be blood. So they want to see if there's any blood under her fingernails. They did not find any blood. Item number 7, using color change test, item 7 gave chemical. Oh, so my apology. I jumped ahead because I was reading. I got mixed up with number 6. Slow it down because I want to make sure you guys have all the facts, right? So item number 7 did give off the chemical indication of blood. So number 6 was her left fingernail, no blood, no foreign DNA under it. But number 7 did have blood under her fingernail. And let's see if it has anything else. Madeline Soto on number 5 is expected to be a donor for number 7. No DNA results foreign to Madeline Soto were obtained from item number 7. So they found the presence of blood under her right fingernail clippings, but they did not find foreign DNA. That blood could possibly have been her own blood. Otherwise, they most likely would have found foreign DNA if that blood belonged to somebody else, or there's not enough DNA in the blood that's still present because it broke down, etc., for them to test, but they can see that blood is there. They get, the antigens are making the blood glow under the light, but they don't have enough to actually test for DNA. I've seen that happen before as well. Please make sure you're hitting that like button, guys. Support the channel. So let's keep going. And this happens all the time, guys. There's lots of times. In fact, every single test result that I get back, there's always going to be certain items where they say, listen, we can test and see that there's DNA here that's foreign to the victim, but there's not enough DNA for us to create a profile. Or we have tested it and we've determined that this is male DNA in sexual assault cases that's found in this area of the victim, but we don't have enough to generate a profile for that victim or for that unknown person. So this happens a lot, guys. It really does, okay? So now let's keep going. Item 8.1, left neck swab presented as being from Maddie. 8.2, right neck swab presented as being from Maddie. First of all, before I go any further, big shout out to Lisa Michelle. She gifted 1 True Crime Strategiceyes membership. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for gifting that. Let's see who's the lucky person that got it. Guess it's not showing me. But anyway, some lucky folk has a new membership to the Strategiceyes show. And I appreciate you, Lisa. And guys, we do have a 99-cent membership. There are higher tiers if you want to support more. You want to play $3.99 for the next level up, $7.99, and then $29.99. Whatever you could give is fine. But if you just want to be a member of the show and support the channel, we do have a 99-cent membership. A 99-cent membership, 99 cents a month, less than $1 a month. And you can support the channel, and we do appreciate you for doing that. If you can, if you can't, don't worry about it. Just being here, watching the show, and hitting that like button is enough. And I appreciate you immensely, and I thank you for giving me your time, ladies and gentlemen. So let's keep going. All right. So using a color change test, items 8.1 and 8.2 gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. So there's blood that's found around her neck. There is blood that's found around her neck, ladies and gentlemen. And hold on one second before we go any further. I just want to pull up, just on the back end, I want to pull up something on the screen over here. And it's going to take my attention away for 2 seconds so that I can better manage the show. So I apologize for that. But it's a one-man show, guys. I don't have a staff here. I don't have a. All right, so I paused that. Good, and I now see the screen that I just pulled up will allow me to see when you guys comment and send super chats and become members. It's just a better It's just a better way of managing the channel. Awesome. All right, back to work. All right, let's get back into this. All right, so they found blood around her neck. They found blood around her neck. Let me see if I can get my face in here too. All right, I'm up there. I'm in the corner. They found blood around her neck. All right, so let's see some further testing. Item number 9, right hand swabs present as being from Maddie Soto. Using a color change test, item number 9 gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. So this is a bloody scene, ladies and gentlemen. This is a bloody scene. We have a new member, Jen Absolute. Appreciate you for joining the channel, Jen. This is a bloody scene, ladies and gentlemen. They found blood on item number 9, right hand swab. So they found it around her neck. They found it underneath her fingernails. They found it on her right hand so far. This is a bloody scene. This was an ugly situation that this beautiful little girl was subjected to. Shame. So let me go ahead. So we got blood on this one. We got blood over here. We have blood on item number 9. If we scroll up, blood on item number 7. It's terrible. So Maddie Soto, item 5, is expected to be a donor to item number 9. DNA results foreign to Maddie Soto were obtained from item number 9. Due to the limited nature of these results, this data is not interpretable. See, I told you guys that happened. I did not read this before. I like to do this. I don't have a scripted show, ladies and gentlemen. There's no script here. There's no teleprompter. That's why I stumble over my words sometimes. Sometimes it's my Invisalign. Sometimes it's just me stumbling over my words. This is everything I tell you is from my heart and from my experience and my education. Okay. So oftentimes I do not read these documents. I don't watch these videos beforehand because I don't want to give you a scripted response. I want you to get what's coming from my soul off the top of the dome, as we say in Harlem, right? I just told you that sometimes you get results that cannot be tested further to develop a profile. And what did we see? Item number 9 clearly says, due to the limited nature of these results, this data is not interpretable, but what they can tell you is that DNA did not belong to Madeline Soto. So it's possible they could not use this in court and say it definitively, but it's possible that this foreign DNA belongs to Stephen Stearns. But let's keep going. But you clearly see she's bloody. There's blood being taken away from all parts of her body to be tested. This girl definitely put up a fight, and this girl was subjected to an enormous amount of violence. So anybody who thinks that this was like some soft, kill you in your sleep type bullshit, no, this girl was literally fought for her life. And then that brings us back to the whole Jensoto stuff. How is your daughter fighting for her life? Fighting for her life in the room upstairs, and you're still asleep? How's that possible? How is it possible that this DNA report, it's not an autopsy, but the story that this DNA report is telling us is such a violent story, and supposedly this all happened in Jen Soto's bedroom while she slept downstairs on the couch and she didn't know? I wonder if she... All right, so let's just say that she had nothing to do with it, right? I wonder if she self-medicates. I wonder if she was under some type of influence. We know that they're popping pills, and there's a possibility people are throwing this theory out. I'm starting to believe this theory until I know otherwise, that they're kind of playing up this whole ADHD thing so that they could get free medication and use Maddie's medication, because Maddie stopped using her medication, as we all know, and her life got significantly better. Her life got significantly better when she stopped using her medication. She wasn't sleeping in class no more. She was getting better grades. She wasn't as mean to her classmates. She was making friends. She was pursuing a little boy that she liked. She started acting like a regular teenager once Stephen Stearns left the house and she stopped taking her medication for ADHD and the other issues that she had, or the mother said she had. So I'm wondering if mommy was medicated on something, self-medicating herself to some degree, where she couldn't even wake up to hear that her daughter's fighting for her life. Literally fighting for her life upstairs with Stephen Stearns. But let's keep going. Let's see what else the story has to tell us. So item number 10. Left hand swabs represents as being from Madeline Soto. Using a color change test, item 10 gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. So more blood. More blood on the left hand. We have blood on the right hand. Now we have blood on the left hand. Actually, I'm doing it reverse. This is my right hand. This is my left hand. We have blood on both hands. Both hands. Let's keep going. Using the color change. All right, so we said that. The DNA results obtained from item 10 demonstrates the presence of a mixture. And what a mixture means is that there's more than one samples of DNA. That's a DNA mixture. Item number 5, so it's a mixture of Madeline Soto, is expected to be a donor to item 10 and is observed in the mixture. DNA results to the foreign blank were obtained from item number 10. Due to the limited nature of these results, this data is not interpretable. So once again, not enough DNA for them to interpret a second profile. They were able to get the main profile, which is the main contributor is going to be Maddie because it's her body, but they were not able to get the secondary contributor in that mixture, which is the unknown person, but foreign DNA was found in that area. Let's keep going. Now we're going to get to the sex stuff. So now, this is going to be the rectal swab. It says the rectal swab is presented as being from Madeline Soto. So for anybody who's just popping in, blank means Maddie. All right? Blank means Maddie. Whenever it's Stephen Stearns, they clearly state that it's Stephen Stearns. All right? So using color change test, item 11 gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. That's bad news because you only have blood in your rectum if you're either sick and you have some type of disease that's causing rectal bleeding or anal penetration. It's the only way. It's the only way. It's the only way. Let's keep going. Possible hairs were observed on item number 11, but were not removed or examined. They don't always examine everything. Things that they can examine, they'll put to the side because there's limited resources, limited time. So if the investigators or the DA wants additional testing, they're able to get that additional testing. So don't worry about the fact that they did not test that hair. That hair has been preserved. They can test it in the future if they choose to, okay? All right. Maddie Soto, item 5, is expected to be a donor to item number 11. No DNA results foreign to her were obtained from item 11. Now, when we're talking about pedos, right? I know you guys can barely understand my handwriting. When we're talking about pedos, penetration does not always have to be penis. We say that again. Penetration for pedos does not always have to be penis to vagina, penis to mouth, penis to anus. Pedos oftentimes get gratification from using objects to penetrate their victims. That's why castration is more of a punishment than a solution for some of the worst rapists, because they don't care about using their body to penetrate the person. They'll get the same gratification from using their hands, using a dildo, using a bottle, using a brush, using whatever the hell, using a gun, using a fork. These people are sick. They're sick individuals. So don't think that just because they didn't get DNA from her rectum, that Stephen Stearns did not do something to her rectum. Don't think for a second that he did not. They may not have DNA from the rectal swab because Stephen Stearns may have used an object to penetrate her and not his penis or his hands. It's gritty, it's ugly, I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth and you need to know the truth. Let's keep going. Item 12, vaginal swabs presented as being from Madeline Soto. Using a color change test, item 12 gave chemical indications of the presence of blood. Now it's a vagina, so if you're having your menstrual, there could be blood there. There can also be blood if you had intercourse. A woman is going to have vaginal tearing every single time she has sexual intercourse. If she's a grown woman who has sex a lot, especially with the same partner, same size of the partner, those tears might be minuscule and will not present where you can visibly see that the blood is there. But there's going to be tearing every time sexual intercourse happens. But the vagina is tricky as far as determining if she was a victim of sexual abuse or not. That blood could possibly be just the natural blood that she produced from a menstrual or whatever, or it could be due to something nefarious. Further testing is what's going to determine if that's the case. So let's read on and see what that further testing says. So Maddie Soto, item 5, is expected to be a donor to item 12. No DNA results foreign to Madeline Soto were obtained from item 12. Same deal. The tearing could also be because of objects that he placed inside of her vagina, or it could be that he did not sexually abuse her that night. We know for a fact that Stephen Stearns has sexually abused Madeline Soto for a very long time. It is possible he did not sexually abuse her that night, and that could possibly be why he killed her. Maybe she fought him back this night. Maybe she said, no more. It's a good possibility. Let's keep going. 12.1, hair collected from vaginal swabs. A possible hair observed. Item 12 was examined using microscopy. However, this hair was not suitable for the STR DNA analysis and was returned to the original package. So basically, they could not get a DNA profile from that hair. And hair is very difficult to get DNA profile from. Usually, it's easier to get a DNA profile from hair when you have the root, because most of the DNA is in the root, all right? So don't think just because you have a hair that you're going to get DNA. You need a hair with the root to guarantee, or at least be more likely to get a DNA profile. And most likely they didn't have a hair with the root, and that's why they were not able to get a good DNA profile from that. Big shout out to HSIN, with the $5 super sticker. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, HSIN, for showing love and supporting the channel. You are amazing, and thank you. You are helping the channel out more than you think. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Let's keep going. It says here, another possible hair was observed from item 12, but was not removed or examined. So I guess they left that other hair. I don't know why they would do that, but they did. It is what it is. Let's keep it going. Item 13, breast swabs presented as being from Maddie Soto. Now, this is going to tell us a lot, because girls usually have their shirts on and girls usually have bras on. So even if you take the shirt off, they'll usually have a bra on. So typically, when somebody has DNA on their breast, somebody else was trying to do something to them. So now let's see if Stephen Stearns tried to do something to this little girl. Once again, hit that like button, please. Support the channel. Hit the like button. All right. Using a color change test, item 13 failed to give chemical indications for the presence of blood, so there's no blood on her breasts. The DNA results obtained from item 13 demonstrated the presence of a mixture. Madeline Soto's DNA is expected to be a donor to item 13 and is observed in the mixture. DNA results foreign to Madeline were obtained from item 13. Due to the limited nature of these results, the DNA could not be interpretable. So they found foreign DNA on her breasts, but they were unable to create a profile for that DNA. And a lot of this could also be the breakdown in her body being exposed to the elements. And I forgot to tell that to you guys as well. It's not that he didn't do things. It could also be the amount of time that she was out there in the elements. Big shout out to Lisa Michelle with the $5 super chat. She says, does it help your engagement / algorithm when people comment in live chat too? Absolutely, it does. So very quickly, before we go back to this, because you guys know I'm long-winded, and sometimes when I'm going on my rants, people like to text me and say, oh, move on, keep it flowing. And it's like, this is who I am. If I start doing the show the way you want me to do it, then it won't be the Strategic Eyes show anymore. Duh. But anyway, let me stop. No, I appreciate all the help that everybody gives me. I'm just playing. It is what it is. And sometimes I can be long-winded. But let me explain this to you real quick, very, very, very briefly, okay? We're doing a live chat. YouTube is checking the metrics of this chat, this show. They're checking to see how many people are watching the show. Right now, there's 376 people who are checking in, 188 likes. The chat is going. People are talking. They're going to say people like what this guy is saying. When the live is over, they're now going to push this up in the algorithm. They're going to push us ahead. When people search Madeline Soto, we'll go higher in that ranking. So you notice your biggest YouTubers, when you search a topic, those YouTubers go first. Why? Because they have high engagement. Their community is bumping up their channel by giving them engagement. And therefore, the higher you are in that search, everything else becomes organic. Because when people type in Maddie Soto or whatever topic, they're usually going to look at the first 2 or 3 videos that pop up. So once we get high in that engagement, we don't even have to work that hard because people are going to see us and they're just going to give us a try before they give somebody else a try. And that's how the show grows. Because hopefully when they give us a try, they like what they hear and they show us love. Right now, we got 402 people watching this stream right now. That's the highest number I've ever had in the history of doing the Strategic Eyes show and True Crime with Strategic. And I want to give a big shout out to Aki for showing love and supporting the channel and helping me on the back end to help us get to this point. We just bumped down to 399, but we made it to 405. You can't take that away from us. It doesn't matter if we go down to 2. We made 405, man. We made 405, and I appreciate that. That's a whole lot of people watching little old me, and I appreciate that immensely. All right, let's get back into this. Where were we? All right, we're on item 14. Item 14. So, oral swabs presented as being from Maddie. Using a color change test, the item gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. So there was blood in her mouth. Now, that could be from a struggle, from a fight. It could be from her being, I think she was choked to death. I think that's what they said she died from asphyxiation. It could be from her being choked. It could be a lot of reasons. It could be from somebody trying to jam something into her mouth. I'm not trying to be too descriptive, but it is what it is. Be trying to jam a penis in somebody's mouth. It's going to cause tearing and bleeding, the whole 9. It could be from a number of things, but let's see what the DNA results give us. Item number 5 is expected to be a donor. To item 14, no DNA results foreign to Maddie Soto were obtained from item 14. So now let's go to remarks because this is pretty much over. Let's go to remarks. So far in these tests, there's been no definitive evidence of Stephen Stern's DNA on this little girl. If you're in the business, you understand that's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. You understand that the body was out there in the weather. Bacteria immediately starts breaking down DNA. Weather changes from hot to cold. You know, in the nighttime it's cold and the daytime it's hot. All of that ferments and basically aids in the growth of bacteria, which once again eats and breaks down DNA. This is not a big deal. But having not reviewed this document prior to coming here and talking to you guys and breaking it down for you, I expected to find some DNA on this man. I mean, rather on this little girl from this man. I expected that. It is a little bit of a disappointment that we were not able to get profiles that lead back to Stephen Stern's, but once again, it does not hurt the case at all. It does not hurt the case, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep going. The remarks. The DNA profiles obtained from item 3 and 5 have been entered into CODIS. CODIS is the federal database of DNA, and everything goes into CODIS. And that's how we solve cold cases. That's how, we, get these bad guys who think they got away and stuff like that. CODIS is such an important database. You only get there if you're a victim or if you are a perpetrator. All right. Big shout out to Panda Plays, gave up 5 Strategic Eyes memberships, donated 5 Strategic Eyes members. 5 lovely, lucky people will be members to the Strategic Eyes show. Thank you so much, Panda, for gifting these memberships to 5 lucky people. That's so awesome. And man, I'm so happy that you believe in the show the way you do. So let's keep going. PCR-based STR DNA analysis will perform on samples. Listed them all utilizing global filler PCR amplification kit. Remember I told you PCR is about getting larger samples from small samples, allowing you to replicate DNA that you find in the field from small samples so you can test it. That's what PCR is, remember? YSTR is determine if somebody's a male or not. A YSTR testing may be considered for item number 6. 10, 13, YSTR testing requires resubmission of DNA extracts. So that's another thing that's very interesting. It said that basically what they said is they didn't do YSTR testing on a lot of these samples, specifically item 6, 10, 13. And what YSTR tests for is if it's a male, even if they can't get a profile where they can say this belongs to this person, right? They can tell if it's at least from a male donor. And that's big, because if you go ahead and you test the breast swab, item 13, and 6 is going to be the fingernail, and which one is the vagina? Let me see here. I think 10. Oh no, that's the left hand. But if you at least test the breast and it comes back from the YSTR that it is male, then you can at least infer that male DNA, that somebody was sucking on her breast or touching her breast. You can also do even more extensive tests to see if saliva or seminal fluid was found in those areas, even if you can't get a profile, because the antigens will light up if you do the test. It's usually a test that's done with a chemical or with a light to determine if seminal fluid is present. But anyway, let's keep going. The term sperm cell fraction and epithelial cell fraction refer to two portions of the extract generated during a differential extraction procedure. The presence of DNA in the sperm cell fraction does not confirm the presence of seminal material or the type of cells from which DNA originated. The submitted evidence and DNA extracts are available for retrieval or return at the earliest opportunity. It is recommended that all DNA extracts be stored frozen, absolutely, so you can keep the longevity of those samples. And that's it. Wow. Very interesting. Let me bring it back to me. Woo! You guys have no idea how hot it is under these lights, and I got a suit, and it's 90 degrees outside. But like I told you guys, when we do the show, we got to come correct. We're talking about important and serious topics, so I want to look like I'm taking it as seriously as I take it in my soul and my heart. I want to go ahead and just pull up real quick the statement that the police took from Jen Soto before we wrap the show up. I think it's important. I think it's very important. And I want to give a big shout out to I want to give a big shout out to the police as well. Because as I was going through that document dump, and I have just started to go through it, there's so much there that I think we can look at and we could, dissect and really maybe parse some more information out that may have not been parsed out before. I came across this, and this is very simple here. This is not a big deal here. But I came across this document here. And this document is a testament to the hard work of those cops who are working this case. And it has a weird name, suitable name, but it's a weird name. I've never seen this name before. But it's called the Crime Scene Contamination Sheet. And basically it's a log of all people who went into the crime scene. And I got to tell you, very rarely have I ever seen this be kept, even on the crime scenes that I've been on. Very rarely. These officers took this case so seriously. They made sure that they crossed every single T and they dotted every single I, to the point where they gave and they kept an extensive record of every single person that went into that crime scene. I'm pretty sure every other YouTuber who went through that document dump didn't pull this up. Because to normal people, this is not important. What's important is what Jen Soto said, what Stephen Stern said, what the friends say, what the witnesses say, what the DNA report said. But very few people understand how much value this document has, because this document tracks everybody who went in that crime scene, so that you can say, if you find foreign male DNA, you could conceivably get a DNA sample from every single one of these people to weed them out, to show that it's not their DNA or it is their DNA and it was just contaminated in a crime scene. But this is so important, and it shows how seriously they took this case. So now I want to read the statement, this kind of like, it's a narrative of like of the conversation that they had. And I find it very interesting that they had the Stephen Stearns interview, the audio, which I have as a part of the document dump that somebody graciously gave me. Once again, thank you so much for giving me that document dump, because I definitely don't have the money to get it myself. I'm a hardworking dude and I got a lot of bills to pay. And I was in the doldrums of the YouTube algorithm for a while, because we talked about serious topics on this channel in the past. We talked about politics. We talked about everything, race relations, everything. And I'm a centrist guy, so don't assume that I'm on either side of the political spectrum. I'm just all about facts. And because I did that and I spoke about those things, YouTube put me on the bottom of the algorithm. They hated my channel. And so I have 50,000 subscribers, but I wasn't getting a lot of views on my shows because YouTube just punishing me. They would go through my old videos and copyright strike me, like when I did or content strike me and suspend me, like I did a walkthrough of a police shooting. This was a widely covered police shooting where the shooting was all over the news and stuff, and then they banned me. They banned me for a whole month because I did a walkthrough of the video. So don't assume because you see 50,000 subscribers that I'm some successful YouTuber, that, you know, I'm making all this. No, this show, since I just decided to just stick with true crime, this show has only been popping for 2 weeks. That's it. And I'm going to just keep doing YouTube. I mean, just keep doing true crime. Because when I tried to weigh in these other things, it's like somebody in YouTube, some engineer over there was like, I don't like this guy. Screw him. And they pressed that magical button, that shadow ban button, and they beat the crap out of me. So we're hardworking over here. I don't have the money that some of these other YouTubers have. God bless them, man. I'm not hating. To go and spend $1,000 to get FOIL requests and all of that. So it really means a lot to me. I'm pounding my chest that somebody sent me that 800-page report, that we could do the show that we did today, that we could have this document on our screen right now that we're currently going to evaluate. Thank you so much. And if anybody else has any information, please do send it to strategiceyes with a Z at the end at gmail.com. That's strategiceyes, EYEZ at gmail.com. Aki, if you're still in the building, throw the email in the chat so people could be able to reach out to me so that they can send me evidence, send me information, so we can go ahead and put it out here for everybody else in a way that people can actually understand. All right, so now let's read this statement that was taken by the detective with Jen Soto. So on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024, Detective Andrew Calise with the Orange County Sheriff's Office's Homicide Unit assisted in investigating in a missing person juvenile. The juvenile was identified as Madeline Soto. The following is Detective Carlice's involvement in the case. Detective Carlice was tasked with authorizing historical phone number. We're going to skip over that a little bit, get down to the meat of it. Also on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024, Detective Andrew Calise, along with Orange County Sheriff's Office Sex Crimes Detective Louis Acosta, interviewed with blank. This interview, I think that's Jen Soto. Yeah, so they blocked out the mother up here. Says blank, mother, Stephen Stearns, something boyfriend, or maybe it says Jennifer's boyfriend or Soto's boyfriend, I don't know, and blank, missing person, so that'd be Maddie right there. So over here, I think they're talking about Jen Soto. So interview with Jen Soto. This interview was conducted at Orange County Sheriff's Office Central Operations Building. The interview was all audio recorded and uploaded to evidence.com. Why don't we have that audio recording? I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of withholding her audio reporting is, unless they are still considering charging her criminally. And they don't want to release that stuff until they indict her. And then they would then release it just like they would release Stephen Stern stuff after they indicted him. But it's very peculiar that they have not released her statement, even though we have detailed statements from everybody else that has been released. But then we get this kind of like third-hand narrative when it comes to her. I don't know. Let's keep going. So the following is a synopsis of Detective Khalees's interview. And this is a synopsis. It's not word for word. It's not a transcription. We really don't know exactly what she said. We don't know the nuance that came with her statements either. So during the interview, Jennifer confirmed that Madeline Soto lives with her and that her boyfriend of approximately 7 years was Stephen Stern. 7 years of Stephen Stern's raping Maddie. So let that soak in, ladies and gentlemen. 7 years. And people got it wrong. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, when I speak to you. Just like you listen to your doctor when you go to your doctor and they tell you something. You listen to your lawyer if you need legal advice. You listen to your general contractor when you want to build something and they're telling you how it's going to get done. Listen to me, because this is what I do. Bad guys like Stephen Stearns, they do not immediately start recording you. It takes time for them to work up to that. I guarantee you, when the recording started, that is not when the abuse started. People are talking as though she started being abused at 8 years old. She was being abused the moment this man was left alone with her. The moment this man was left alone with her, that's when she was being abused. He started recording her later on as he and she got acclimated to the abuse. I think that there's a possibility she's being abused since 6 years old. 6 years old. I believe he started abusing her since 6 years old. The mother said that she's been with him for 7 years, and Maddie was 13 years old when she died. She had just turned 13. She died 24 hours after her 13th birthday. He's been abusing her since 6 years old. These predators can't help themselves. It's not a crime of opportunity for them. It's like, oh my God, I got a little kid here. I have to have this child and destroy this child. They're like cancer. They can't help themselves. They just have to keep growing, keep doing worse to the person. 8 years old is when he started recording, but it's not when the abuse started, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to H. Sin, another super chat. Thank you so much, H. Sin. She says, the evidence is so overwhelming, at least for SA. How do you think his lawyer is going to defend him? His lawyer is going to defend him any way that he can. I don't know what the exact strategy is going to be. There might be some mental competency involved in that strategy. But understand, for people like him, he's only fighting for his life, meaning to avoid the death penalty. He's also trying to extend the amount of time he spends in county jail before he has to go to state prison. It's safer in county jail than state prison. In county jail, because it's a local high-profile case. Now, we all know it's an internationally high-profile case. But it's a local high-profile case. They're going to put him in segregation. They're going to put him in segregation. When he gets to state prison, they're going to put him in gen population. He knows this. The longer he stays in county jail, the safer he is. The food is also better. He's also closer to his family. Once he goes to the big house, when he goes up north, as we say it in New York, it's all over for him. Michelle Britton says that Maddie aged out and was going to tell, and they both knew. And that's probably why she was killed. Love you, H. Sin. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and for giving us that gracious super chat. Thank you so much. All right. I firmly believe that this started when she was 6 years old. Let's keep going. See if I can find my place. As the interview continued, Jennifer stated that on rare occasions, Madeline and Stephen slept in the same bed. Now, do you think she's going to go before these detectives and say, yeah, every day he slept in the bed with her and I slept downstairs? I let him have her because that meant he stayed in my life and he helped me with the rent. He made me feel good about myself. And all it required was me to let my daughter be his girlfriend. Let him use my daughter. Let him abuse my daughter. Let him victimize my daughter and eventually kill my daughter. That's all I had to do to keep him in my life. So yeah, that's what I used to do. Of course she's not going to say that. Of course not. And by the time this interview happened, she had already told police that Stephen Stearns slept in the bed with the daughter. She had already told police that the night before she had to go to work and she was tired, so she sent them upstairs to sleep together while she slept on the couch downstairs. And so did Stephen Stearns. They both already put that out there into the ether. So since it's already out into the ether, there's no point in walking it back. But what you can do is mitigate it by saying rare occasions. Save face, rare occasions, rarely happen. Of course, for most normal people, one time is too much, but the best she could do, since she already put herself in a corner, is say rare. And Stephen slept in the same bed. Rare occasions, Maddie and Stephen slept in the same bed. According to Jen, the reason for this is so that she could get some sleep, because sometimes all three of them slept in the same bed. Jen Soto also confirmed with Detective Khalees that she and Stephen had been sexually intimate. Detective Khalees presented Jen with various images that were recovered from Stephen's cell phone. The first image was a hand placed on the buttocks of a white female. After viewing the image, Jennifer identified this hand as belonging to Stephen. Next, Detective Khalees showed Jennifer a close-up photograph of a white male penis. Jennifer viewed the picture but was unable to identify the penis. Now, if this is your man for 7 years, you don't know what his penis looks like? Especially when allegedly he has a deformity on his penis? I find that hard to believe, but we're going to keep going. Let's see what Jen has to say. And can I get a like, please? Hit the like button. We're at 298 likes. It'd be nice if we can get to 300. That's 2 extra people to hit that like button and get us to 300. I would appreciate it immensely. Let's keep going. Detective Khalees then presented Jennifer with another image of a penis pulled over a pair of pants. This guy was obsessed with his penis. He kept taking pictures of his own little peepee. Again, Jennifer viewed this image and identified the penis as belonging to Stephen. Jennifer believed this was Stephen's penis based on the clothing and the blanket near the penis. So once again, you can't identify the peepee, but you can identify it only because of his clothing and the sheets that were next to him when he's presenting his penis outside of his pants. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen. This is supposed to be his girlfriend of more than 7 years, and she can't identify. She never identified his penis just based off of the penis. The only time she identified it was based off of the clothing and the sheets. Big shout out to Phil DeBartot. Sorry for saying your name incorrectly. $2 super chat. I think that's a pound. or francs, might be pounds. But I appreciate you. $2 super chat. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the channel. You are amazing. Very interesting stuff here. A few moments later, Detective Khalees paused the interview with Jen and waited for Kissimmee Police Department detectives to respond so that the interview could continue. Detective Khalees did not participate in the interview with blank once Kissimmee detectives arrived. All right, so he stepped out at that point. And I think at this point they had realized that the crime scene, the actual murder occurred in Kissimmee. So it was a Kissimmee actual case. It was Kissimmee's case. They had jurisdiction. All right. On Thursday, February 29, 2024, Detective Khalees, along with other Orange County Sheriff Office homicide detective, conducted an extensive area canvass near Old Hick Tree Road. This canvass was met with negative results. This concludes Detective Khalees' involvement with this case. Woo! Let's bring it back to me. Wow. That's extensive, man. Very interesting stuff. I hope you guys learned a lot today. I appreciate you guys immensely. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Big shout out to everybody who took advantage of the membership today. Big shout out to everybody who took advantage of the membership. Thank you so much. We are delivering exclusive content. Last night, I did a video. You can check that video out right now. That one, which video was that I did last night? That one was, let me pull it up here because my memory defeats me right now. What video did we do last night? It was like 3 in the morning. That's why I don't remember it. I don't even know what I said. Maybe I said some crazy things because I don't remember it. All right. So it was basically breaking down yeah, go check that out. It was a really interesting video. We broke down the autopsy report for the Alexi Treviso case. Once again, the Alexi Treviso case, that is the 19-year-old girl from New Mexico who gave birth in the hospital bathroom. And then she proceeded to stuff her baby into the garbage, hide the baby on top of another garbage. She put even more garbage on top of the baby and then tried to clean up the murder scene. So we actually went through the autopsy, and we also spoke about why I agreed with her defense attorney that her statements should be thrown out because those statements were made with her doctor and she was not read Miranda. So believe me, I think she needs to pay. I want her to go to jail. She's terrible for what she did to her child. I am not supporting her in any way, but we have to respect our Constitution and we have to do things the right way. And I don't think that she was afforded Miranda when she made those confessions, so it should be thrown out. So go check that video out. Please support the channel. That video has 700 views right now, which is pretty low for what we're averaging now. So if you could please go over and support that and check that video out and get some useful information about that case, I would appreciate it. But anyway, that video was special because the video that you guys can see right now is an edited version of that video. In all actuality, that video was a live. It was not a pre-produced video. It was a live I did for members only. And the members are able to see all the back-end conversation that I had in that video. And after that, I downloaded the video, I edited it out, and then I re-released it for everybody else. But if you are a member, you can go and actually check the original video that was done with me speaking to you directly as my members and give you that insight on how we do business when we create a show. But for everybody else, all you got to see is the finished product. I think it's really cool to be able to see what happens on the back end and understand the work that it takes to actually build out a show that you guys can appreciate and actually learn something from. So consider becoming a member. All you need to do is pay 99 cents a month and you can become a member and hey, you know, you be a part of that family. All right. Anyway, guys, you guys are amazing. I really had a good show. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a breakdown of Jen Soto's interview. This is part 2. We did part 1. I think it's approaching 10,000 views right now. We're going to do part 2 and it might be a part 3. If I don't like milking stuff, I literally, if we break it up, it's because it's just too much. All right. It's too much. I'm not putting out 2 and 3 hour shows. My shows are usually between an hour and an hour and a half. Sometimes if we stretch it, an hour and 45 minutes is the most you're going to get out of me because I get tired and pooped. Right. So we're going to do a part 2. We're going to start and try and finish it with a part 2. But if we can't finish it with a part 2 because she gave a lot of interviews, we will do a part 3 and we should finish it out with a part 3. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. The live has already been scheduled, so make sure that you make all your notifications set to all when you subscribe to the channel, and you'll be notified when I do that live. You can also type in Strategic Eyes into the YouTube search bar, and you'll see that upcoming live, and you can click on that individual show and say notify me when it goes live. And once again, you'll be notified when we do that live. That live is going to be really good, really informative. We're going to break down her body language. We're going to break down her tells. We're going to break down what she's doing. We're going to show why Jen Soto needs to go to jail. Let's say that one more time. Jen Soto needs to go to jail. Lock her up. Lock her up. Lock Jen Soto up. She needs to go to jail. And I want to say this one last thing because I'm saying she needs to go to jail. I have no evidence that Jen Soto knew that Maddie was being abused by Stephen Stearns. I don't know that. Not yet. Hopefully more documents, more evidence will come out and we'll be able to make that conclusion ourselves. I don't know if Jen Soto is guilty. What I do know is that she should have known that her actions of sending her daughter to sleep in a bed with a man that is not her biological father could put her daughter at risk of sexual abuse. I know that. As a parent, as a man, as a citizen, as a God-fearing individual, common sense tells me that would endanger a child. I got to put the God voice on for that one. She should have known. So even if she's not to be arrested for participating in the sex abuse and the murder of Maddie Soto, at minimum, just like Wolfpack said, she should be charged with endangering this child. Child endangerment. Endangering the welfare of this child. That I know. So when I say lock her up, I'm not trying to get this person locked up for no reason. I don't want her to go to jail just to appease my feelings and my emotion or your feelings and your emotions, guys. She committed a crime because she was negligent. She was negligent in protecting that little girl. I'll say it one more time. She was negligent in protecting that little girl. She could have did a better job supervising her child and making sure that her child was not exposed to this man. She was negligent. How can somebody rape your child evidence-wise from 8 years old? Strategic Eyes experience tells him from 6 years old, and you not know all the way until her 13th birthday and the day after her birthday, which ends up being her date of death. How could you not know that she was, how could you find out she was being a victim of sexual abuse from a detective in an interview room when they have to show you him literally victimizing your daughter with a picture? God, what a way to find out. What a goddamn way of finding out. Can predators be cunning? Absolutely. Are predators liars? Absolutely. Can predators scare victims into not coming forward? Absolutely. Did Maddie have opportunities to tell people what was happening to her? Absolutely. Did she? No. Should we blame her? Absolutely not, because she was a victim being manipulated and taken advantage of by a monster. But mommy should have known not to put this lamb into the lion's den and shut the goddamn door and go to sleep. She should have known better than that. She should have known better than putting her baby in a bed with another man. And for that, she is guilty as sin. And she got to pay. She has a debt to pay not only to Maddie, but to us. Because we have to mourn when our fellow human being is gone. We're all here mourning. That's why we're here. We're all here mourning. We care. This is affecting us. We want justice for this little girl. I live hundreds of miles away from where this little girl is resting in peace, and it matters to me. It matters to you. We have people watching this show from all over the country. People from South Africa, people from Europe, people from Australia, from all over the country watching this show right now, watching for information on Madeline Soto, for justice for Madeline Soto. She matters to human race right now. Not just Floridians, not just to Americans, to the whole goddamn human race. It's our tax dollars that have to investigate this. It's our children who go to those Florida schools who used to know Maddie, who now need therapy, who are heartbroken, who will forever have the story that I was in the same classroom with Madeline Soto. Our collective time, our collective emotions, our collective energy, our collective money have to go into this case because mommy was negligent. So she does not just have a price to pay to Madeline Soto. She has a price to pay to all of us. You owe us, Jen. If you're listening to this right now, Jen, you owe us. And we don't want to pound the flesh. We want time. We want time. We want to put you in that cage, and we want our time. And whether that's a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that's not up for me to determine. That's up for the courts to determine. But we want our time. Stearns is going to pay with his life. That's the burden he has to bear. That is the price that we demand. We want his life. We want capital punishment. We want his life. But mommy, we don't want your life. We want time. And on that note, I'll end this live. Big shout out to everybody who sent me a super chat. Big shout out to everybody who joined the show. And an extra big shout out to everybody who took the time to tune into the show, to engage in the comment section, to hit the like button. We're at 406 concurrent people, complete strangers, watching this live right now. And out of that, 371 people have decided to hit that like button. That's amazing to me. It's amazing. So don't forget to hit that like button on your way out the door. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.